And we're back here at the Cozy Show. Not on the cozy couch. We are at JG Academy Tracy, California. It's myself, Chris Mariscal, my co-host.
Hi, Marnellis.
We have 4 awesome jiu-jitsu ladies with us. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure.
My name is Alyssa, and I'm a purple belt here, and I help assist coach at JG Tracy.
Hi, I'm Vivian. That is all I have to say.
All right.
I'm Casey and Big Boob over here.
Big Boob? One
Erica Gomez. That's me.
Well, thanks for being on. We all met at Jiu-Jitsu, of course. I only started like a couple years, so I only know you guys for like a couple years. But
I don't even know some of you.
thanks, Casey, for bringing up the idea of just having all the girls kind of come on that do Jiu-Jitsu from blue belt to purple belt to brown belt. No black belt, so unfortunately we couldn't get that yet. But maybe eventually, you know?
Yet.
But yeah, just hopefully kind of helps you guys, whoever listening, if you guys are considering to doing jiu-jitsu and are a girl or anyone, but more specifically a girl, and kind of like questioning and want to do that. Hopefully listening to this podcast kind of makes you feel more open about it. So maybe we could kind of like start with how you guys started, I guess, jiu-jitsu. Yeah, we'll have this rotation. How about this?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I played soccer my whole life pretty much. So that was like my sport that I did. And then I did 2 years at a MJC Modesto. And
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Represent.
Yeah. MJC Pirates, right?
Yeah.
And so kind of during that time in Manteca, on my way home, I would drive by this jiu-jitsu academy all the time. And it had like bright neon green lights around the windows, and it would always catch my attention. And
Like a smoke shop.
yeah, seriously, right. And so once I was done with soccer, I knew I wasn't going to go on with it, so I wanted another sport. And I've never done any other sport besides soccer, and I didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was, actually. I thought it was like punching, and really did not know what it was, but I just knew it was fighting. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I want to do that. So I just joined, and then that was literally why. I wanted something new to do that I've never done before and I knew nothing about. Because soccer I did my whole life, so I knew a lot about it. I had a lot of experience with it, so I wanted something very different.
Yes.
That's why I started.
I feel like I'm actually like a lot newer to everything. Yeah, I did yoga for the past 10 years, and like I think it's crazy how different it is. After doing it for 10 years, teaching a lot, like I kind of felt like during COVID, of all times to start jiu-jitsu, I was just like wanting something different to challenge me. I had been a teacher for so long. I just kind of wanted to be a student again. So I did a lot of road trips that year. And I remember I listened to a shit ton of Joe Rogan. And I was like, dude, I swear to God, if I hear more about jiu-jitsu, like I'm just going to do it. And one of my yoga students, she was a jiu-jitsu instructor, so I reached out to her, and then it just kind of led me into it, and didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do it like 2 times a week or something, just a little side thing. And now it's basically
Just
here we
took
are.
over everything.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Oh.
Vivian.
So I started jiu-jitsu when I was 13, and I started because my dad wanted me to know how to like defend myself and everything. So I started with JG in the first school Javi opened in Brentwood. And I was there like one of the first days they opened, and I didn't think I was gonna like it. I was kind of like, oh, great, here we go. We're going to have to do this all the time. And then I've only taken like one long break. But other than that, I train as much as I can whenever I can. And yeah, it was cool to start with my dad. And it was a lot of fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
You started with your dad?
Yeah. So he started training a little bit in Modesto. But it was too long of a drive. He would come home too late. And so when Javi was like, hey, I want to open a school in Brentwood, which is where we lived at the time, he was like, okay, perfect. We'll be there. So it was cool.
Nice.
Sure. I started training in the year 2017. Honestly, I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was at all. The only reason why I knew anything about it was because my husband, Alika, and his family all trained, right? And they used to, like, they were training out of, like, a high school gym. And I thought it was the grossest thing ever in my life. I was like, dude is sweating on you. His hair is, and they're like, you're touching feet. That was what was gross. Like, the feet in the face, that was so gross to me. That was back in, like, 2013. So, like, when I first saw it, and then his dad would always just be like, "Oh, you should try it." And I was like, "No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not." And then, like, we moved away to New York, and then fast forward the year's 2017, and then Alika actually wasn't home. He was still in the military at the time, but I had moved home like a couple months early. Yeah, and then his dad actually opened up the studio. It was already like running and things, and I just remember like sitting there in the waiting room just watching jiu-jitsu happen. And his dad was like, "Hey, if you're gonna be here, put on a gi and train." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I put the gi on, and like I just went out there. I had no idea what was going on, and then I was like, "Dude, this is crazy." Like, I've played softball for like 15 years of my life, and like I've never used all of my body parts like all at one time, and like I don't know, like I got hooked on it like right away. Yeah. So then we started training in Modesto, going just back and forth, and Alika finally like came home, and then it was cool like to be doing it together, you know? So now we're here
Sick.
teaching together.
Teaching.
Yeah.
It is super different than like sports, just other sports in general, you know?
Yeah,
It's like
for
so
sure.
fucking different. And I feel like in a lot of other sports, you kind of get in like that like flow state where you're not really thinking. And at least for me, like in jiu-jitsu, it's both like you're fucking going hard with your body, but then your mind, you have to be thinking like, oh fuck, okay, this position, like that awareness. So you can't totally like just kind of disappear into like that flow state where you're not really thinking too hard. At least for me. I don't know. I'm a white belt still, so maybe I'm still like, oh fuck, you know, trying to get it all figured out and stuff. But
Yeah, you have to be like very in the moment. And then I feel like too, team sports is so different from jiu-jitsu because it's a completely different mentality. Like, even though you are a team with jiu-jitsu, it's not like a team sport, right? Like soccer or softball. Like, you, like, if someone else fucks up, it's your fuck up too, right? But here it's literally like all on you. You cannot point a finger at anybody else but yourself, really.
Yeah.
yeah, we said this a lot, but we came from running long distance. Like that's how we met in high school. We used to run long distance
You guys
cross
ran
country
into
and
each
track.
other?
That's how this romance started.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
That's how we did it, you
It's
know?
a good one.
How many books
But-
fell?
I think that's kind of similar because it's like a team sport, but it's a lot just like up here and how fucking tough you can be and how hard you train. So I feel like that translates pretty well to jujitsu. Something I think is like funny about jujitsu, whenever I show people who like don't know what it is, they're like, oh, like that's like sex, like that's super intimate,
Right?
You know, like that closed guard or the mouth. They're always like so shocked at like how intimate it is. And I think my first day or like couple days, I was like, whoa, you know, some random dude like so close to you like that in that
In
position,
between your
you know?
legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
Imagine from a
man in
female's
between your legs.
perspective.
I was gonna say, were you
Yeah.
guys like thrown off with that when you started?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially I started off only no gi. I did
Mm.
not train gi at all. So I feel like it's even more like
Yeah.
that, right?
More
You don't-
exposed.
Yeah, you don't have things covering you. And yeah, for sure. I thought it was weird as hell.
I honestly think it's more hilarious watching, especially like newer guys that are just so awkward about like you get into their closed guard and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go in there because I'm gonna practice the move, and then they're just like, oh, being super weird. It's like, bro, just do the fucking move.
Yeah.
It's fine.
What do you think's been like, or just when you guys started, what was like the biggest kind of struggle just getting in there as like a girl for like the first year? Do you guys have like a common, like a consistent struggle?
I mean, I think I probably started the earliest out of all of us. 2015, I started.
Damn.
So yeah, like there was no at the gym I started at. There was no women. There was one girl, but I was 19 when I started, and she was in high school. I mean, she had been training for a while already, but I mean, she was in high school, right? She wasn't training all the time. And so it was crazy because I was rolling with these men that were very big and a lot of white belts, and it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. And but it also I didn't know anything else, right? Like there wasn't as strong as a woman community back then as there is now in jiu-jitsu. So it was like I didn't know anything else. That was what I had to deal with. So like I feel like jiu-jitsu now it's really really cool seeing like the women. And I mean there's like the JG in Livermore, there's mostly women there. And I mean I don't know, I think it's really awesome that a lot more women are joining.
Yeah, like and I'm sure as everyone else, like I feel like having girls in an academy just adds so much like diversity in a sense. Like just seeing what they're able to do, going against like someone that's like 190 pounds. Like some of my favorite training partners like are girls, obviously, like you guys and a bunch of others, and like just the way they use certain things and how they're so creative with certain things and they have to be so technical. It's always like amazing to see, and I always use them as like guidance, you know, because I'm like, well, if they could do it against like much larger opponents or just stronger opponents, like they have to be on to something, you know. And it is cool. I definitely keep hearing stories of how jiu-jitsu is growing, and obviously you guys are building up your guys' jiu-jitsu programs in different gyms. So it is really nice to see kind of just like the growth and like from you just barely starting to know one, and now you guys have like a solid squad, you know.
Even the kids right now, like the kids program, the females in our kids program.
Oh, yeah, the girls in the kids comp class are so freaking good. They're so good, and I'm just like, these boys got to catch it up.
We do tell them all the time. We're like, boys, literally look at the girls' faces in class. Like
They
their
have,
faces
like,
are
these
red,
fierce
their
faces.
hair's messed
Yes,
up. You
they're
can
all
tell.
sweaty, and like you see the boys, and they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, not even sweat
Yeah.
dripping.
They're
Like
like, I
the
look so
girls
good in
are
this
the
gi.
girls are working hard. You know.
You have your daughter in jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes, she's 7. She's a gray white belt. I think she's 4-stripe
Woo.
gray white belt. Yeah. She just did a jiu-jitsu battle gold, and then jiu-jitsu world league before that, and got gold as well. So
Here's a picture.
yeah,
of her.
she's been training since she was 3, and we never gave her a chance to just be like, oh, this is too hard, you know, like no, like we're all doing it, so you can do it too.
Yeah, Alika was saying in the last podcast too, when we had with him, he was saying like kind of once she hit that 7 years old, you guys would kind of be more intense.
So she picked it up herself. Yeah, like when she turned like 7 and she started like seeing the results pay off a little bit more, she's just like, I want to train, like I want to do open mat. Is so and so coming, like, you know? And her being the smallest in our class here, she and the only upper belt really in the class, it's hard for her to get like, you know, some good training because everyone's bigger than her. So like when she does get some girls in here, she's going ham. And then she loves when like her other kids like from the academies on the comp team show up, and she's like, yeah, I get to like, you know, go out there and really train. Yeah. And every time a tournament comes up, she's like, Mom, am I gonna fight? Because Alika will ask the kids like, hey, you know, like when's the next tournament? Raise your hand if you're gonna participate. And she always looks at me like, am I fighting? Like, am I fighting? Like she'll whisper to me, and I'm like, yeah, if you want to fight, like we're gonna register you, you know. Yeah, so she's like, she wants to do the super fight actually in April in Las Vegas. So she's like, I want to go out there. So it's like cool to see her like that. We all like motivate each other, like you know, as a family. So that's cool.
April 15th, Jiu-Jitsu battle, Las Vegas, invitational. Apply online.
There's the banner.
Super fight. Yes. Nothing. No, you did good.
I saw like I think it's semi recently. I think you and Alika were posting on Instagram stories about like how you wouldn't let your kids like quit if they wanted to quit jiu-jitsu, and like you guys seem pretty serious about that. What's like the mentality behind that, I guess?
I think it just comes from like both of our upbringing. Like, you know, I played softball for 12 years, and there was times when I was definitely like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I want to try something else. And my dad would be like, well, why? And I was like, well, I don't really know why. Like, I just don't want to do it. And he's like, well, that's not good enough. Like, you're going to keep doing this until like you're old enough to make your own decision. So I was just like, you know, I guess he's right. So then I just kept doing it, and I was like, you know what? This is what I'm good at. Like, I should just keep doing it. And then, like, now we get parents in here and like they enroll their kids and they're like, oh well, they fight me every day about coming here, and they think it's too hard, so I'm just gonna let them make their own decision. And in my head, I'm like, your child is like 5, you know, like why do they get to make the decision? Like, aren't you the parent?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you're teaching them to quit.
Yeah.
You know, like I
Yeah.
never got to quit. So, you know, like, and look at where we are now. Like, if I had the opportunity to be like, oh, jiu-jitsu is too hard, like, I'm just gonna stop,
Yeah.
then I would never be where I am. You
Yeah.
know, and we're making like a living off this. So, I don't know. I mean, you could go far with not quitting and just keep going.
Yeah.
Even if it's like something you don't like you'll get there eventually. You'll find something that you do like, and you'll never know, like, oh, that sport or jiu-jitsu like taught me this, and now I'm able to implicate it into this life situation.
Yeah,
You
and I'm
know?
sure like once you kind of hit a certain age, like maybe like I don't know, but like 17, I'm sure by then if you're like really not liking it, then you could be like, well, I give it my best chance, you know?
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
you put your all into it and you still didn't like it. As long as you like put 100% into it, then you know you tried.
Vivian, you were saying you started at like 13, right?
Yes.
How is it? How did you kind of balance everything so you're kind of not burned out? I guess by you're like 19. Did you ever feel like a burnout point, or that you kind of start since you? I know a lot of people who kind of start young sometimes get to a burnout point once they hit like 20, 23. They're like, okay, well, I've been doing this for like 10 plus years. You know, do you have like any method to not get to that?
Yeah, so I feel like I liked it for so long and just like stuck with it because I was homeschooled since I was 10. So like
Rough.
it was hard to like make friends. Yeah, okay, relax. It was hard to like make friends sometimes. So jiu-jitsu, like I was training for like 3 months, I think, and then like there was these 3 girls that started training and they were super nice, and my best friend now, she started training too, so it's really cool to like have those friends and we all enjoy this like the same thing. And then I did take a break when I was 17, I think, for like 9 or 10 months. Yeah, because I felt like I wasn't learning anything new, this and that. But then again,
like the teachers, right? Just
yeah,
not too good.
sometimes it like I could only make it to the fundamentals class,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay,
You
like,
were working a lot too, right? You had
Yeah.
just gotten a job and you
Yeah.
were working a lot.
I would work long hours sometimes, so I would just be tired. And then, yeah, I was like, okay, I can't. And I feel like I wasn't learning anything new, but I never branched out to the other gyms. Like, I was too scared to do it on my own. And then I was talking to my dad, and he was like, are you done? And I was like, no. And he was like, well, you haven't been there. And I was like, okay, well, I just needed a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And then Marco, he was like, well, why don't you come train at these gyms? And I was like, 'cause I'm scared. And so eventually one day, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to Manteca. And I went to Manteca, and I fucking loved it. I had a great time. And so I used to get off. Sometimes my shifts would end at 5. And class started at 6 at the time in Manteca. And I would have to drive from Brentwood through all the barrier traffic going home. And I'd get there like right on time or like a couple minutes late, and I'd throw out my key and I'd be like, okay, I'm going. And then I'd still drive home after. Or sometimes I would go to their house and stay the night and drive back and go to work in the morning.
So you felt like you never kind of said like I'm done completely. Like you always kind of had that thought like I was gonna go back.
Yeah, so like in those 9 to 10 months, I didn't like dead stop. I
Yeah.
would go like maybe once a month, you know? And I knew it was something I loved and that I would never stop doing. I just needed like to fall in love with it again. And I think it's important to cross train. I think staying at one gym is good. It's nice. You have like your community there. But you end up having the same roles over and over. So you need those different people to kind of challenge you in different ways. And I think that's what I was lacking. And so when I started training at other gyms, and I was like, oh shit, wow, I've never seen that before. And so I always want to learn something new. And if I'm not, I feel like I get bored.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Glad you're back.
Yes, thank you.
Have you guys ever taken any breaks, Casey or Erica?
I don't feel like I've been training long enough to take a fucking break.
Yeah.
aside from just getting injured, and that's like the extent. So hopefully we get through that, and then but not too long.
Yeah, I've taken quite a bit of time off. One was for my son, so during the pregnancy and stuff. I still taught during the pregnancy because we lived in Copperopolis at the time, so it was like really far away, and we actually opened up a school over there in like the little town square. It was cool. Like the rent was super cheap. It was like a fun thing we did. Something that the people of the town, something new to them. Obviously, there's not a lot to do out there.
Yeah.
And so it was cool. And so, yeah, I was like helping teach classes there. Like I was pregnant and like still training. So I basically trained kind of only with Javi until like I couldn't like move anymore. And then once my mobility was taken away from me, I was just like, okay, I guess I'll just walk or, do something. But so I took like a year off, I'd say, for that. And then I took a year off after for work. I did pest control for a year.
Oh shit.
So took a year off for that.
And you never felt like in those times that you're like, I'm done? You always were pretty
No,
good.
I know. I knew I would never stop. Like I would go when I could, basically when I was working. Definitely like during my pregnancy, I could not wait to go back. It was actually really hard for me not to train. Like I didn't even want to go and watch it because it was like, I was like, I need to get out there, So during my pregnancy, like I went back to training really fast after I gave birth. So I already knew I was going to go back really quick. And then, when I was working, I never completely stopped. I would go when I could, but I knew I never was done with jiu-jitsu ever. So, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's something I never really think about as a guy. Like getting pregnant as a woman, you can't train, or
Yeah.
for a while, you can't train. Is there anything else like you think guys aren't really aware of that's difficult as a woman for training?
That's a good question.
First of all, can bigger guys just learn technique, please, versus strength? I swear to
Versus
fucking
Americana
God.
yeah.
from fucking
Well,
Sucker.
I actually got like pretty lucky with that because, Ari Stockton, Buffalo Black, shout out to my father-in-law.
Uh-huh.
He was always like, if you're rolling with the fucking girl, don't use your fucking strength, motherfucker. Like, so I was
You're
like,
gonna
didn't
listen
really
to
have to worry.
Kawhi's
Like,
son,
and you hear
yeah.
that, you're gonna fucking listen,
I do appreciate
So
that very much.
I didn't really have like that much of an issue. I mean, some guys would still, but I'm just like, I would actually complain a lot about it too. Like, well, this guy's like going really hard, and he's like, okay, so like figure it out.
Yeah.
And I like to the point where so much that I would just like complain, and he would just give me the same answer. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe he's right. I'll figure it out. And so when guys go hard with me, I actually kind of take it as a compliment. Like, wow, you have to like use your strength to out pass
Like
me.
Kirk
or,
right here. We're just going to put on blast, right? Just because he's a big guy.
Yeah, he broke my ribs.
I've only rolled with Kirk like maybe 3 times since he's been here all year.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
Kirk.
actually like rolling with Kirk. Yeah. He's good roll. Good roll. He's a gentle giant.
Yeah,
Lets me take his back. I love it.
He's such a nice guy,
Yeah,
man.
he's
You really
I
don't-
am.
Yeah.
He's so cool. He
Yeah.
supports us.
We
like,
talk
big
about
time,
him
just
every
like-
jiu-jitsu
Yeah,
podcast.
Kirk.
He was. I was rolling with him the last time I was here, and he was just like trying shit on me. I was like, no way, like no way. I'm the guy you're just trying shit with,
Hey, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Gotta get there at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to add to that?
Like struggles wise.
No, podcast is done. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
mic
we're
drop.
Yep. 24-minute, like just bang it right there.
I mean, the pregnancy thing, that's probably
Yeah.
like the biggest one, obviously. It's like you have, like, if you are I mean, obviously every woman's pregnancy situation is different. I was very fortunate enough to have an easy pregnancy.
Same.
I
yes.
had barely any sickness. Same with you, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't really have any sickness. at
yeah,
all.
so I was luckily able to still train during that time. And luckily I had a partner who was experienced enough to be able to like roll with me and train with me in a safe way, obviously, for the baby and everything. So like,
Yeah.
I felt like I was fortunate. I still didn't get like to do jiu-jitsu, but that's like
just
the
being
biggest
there and still like seeing, like, you're still learning, whether
Mhm.
you're not actually doing the move, which is
Yeah.
something that we kind of tell the guys here, like, oh, if you have injuries or like you're not feeling well, just like still try and show up even if you're not going to train. Like, at least be on the mat. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna learn something. You're gonna see like, oh well, that's how that person sets it up, or like, oh, I really like how they did that. Like, you're always mentally just strengthen it a bit.
Yeah, it's
And I was
funny.
very fortunate that I had Loke before I started training, so never had that break.
Before.
And everyone keeps asking when's the next one, and I'm like, listen, you're not the one that has to stop training.
Yeah, that's
okay?
honestly the biggest
Yeah.
thing is the training. You got to stop training. It's
Yeah.
funny. All the guys were talking at the house, and they're like, knee surgeries are like big injuries, and that's like a
Yeah.
big time off.
Ask
But
Vivian.
I mean, still, that's only like 6 to 9 months, maybe, right? And yeah, it's funny. All the guys were like, "Man, my shoulder. I got 3 months off here," and I'm like, dude, honestly, I feel like taking time off is even easier when you're injured because it's like you can't do it, right? But pregnant, you're not injured.
You're not injured, yeah.
You
You
feel
can just fuck up
okay.
that baby. You
Just
can
roll
want
the
to
baby.
stay.
I want to. I want to.
I think we just had Grace, so that's
Yeah.
Chris trains at Aries Turlock. Shout out them. And with Thiago and Grace, and she just came back from like her kind of pregnancy leave, and she's like slowly coming back into that. I
Nice.
think she was gone for a while though,
She trained for a minute too. She was pregnant as shit. Like,
Yeah.
That's I was like,
Yeah.
damn.
Mhm.
I would get scared. Like she
Nice.
wouldn't. I
Yeah,
don't think
you
she
would
would.
get scared, right?
Why
Like
get scared,
Neon
Zala?
Bellier?
Yeah, Neon.
You know.
Yeah, there was actually Sarah. She's the brown belt opening up JG Lodi.
JG Lodi.
Yeah, and she. Oh, tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Oh,
mañana.
it's class start.
got off
Oh,
Friday.
dang. Well, she. I remember she like just got married, and like me and her were kind of like at the time running the women's class in Stockton. And she was like, dude, I want to get pregnant so bad. And I just kept looking at her like, bro, like, are you sure? Like, you just came back from knee surgery and like,
Damn.
we're doing this women's class. You want to get pregnant? Like, you're going to have to stop training.
How selfish are you?
Yeah, and then I just remember like she finally told me, and like everyone just started to find out. She didn't even have like a baby bump yet, and people were just like, oh, well, I don't know if I should roll with you,
Yeah,
you know? So it's kind of, I mean, I never had to deal with it, but maybe Erica, like people will just treat you different.
Or maybe subconsciously in their
Yeah.
head, like you don't even know, but they're probably like, I should be a little softer.
I
You know?
just didn't trust anybody. I didn't even I was like, no, I'm not trusting you. I
Yeah.
was like very particular. It was like a no, we are not training together. Yeah.
Oh, go.
I was gonna say, do you guys want to have children at any point in the future?
This is a quick answer.
Any more on the way? Or any announcements to make? Imagine.
What?
Oh my
On the
God.
pod, first there was the marriage,
Vivian?
now it's the baby.
There will be no children from me for quite a long time.
But there will be children from her.
Yeah,
At some
eventually.
point.
I
Yeah.
guess.
I guess
If I have to.
whatever. You know, you get Marcos's.
She loves
Marcos
children,
eaters
by the
and-
way. Loves them.
I love them so much.
Okay, so you started jiu-jitsu kind of like the same time I did, maybe like roughly like 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. We were Solid Squad OGs. And at the time, like you had your whole yoga thing and your whole academy, and that was kind of your life, and jiu-jitsu was kind of like the side thing, you know? And now it's like increasingly been more and more your life. What kind of led you for it to like take over more and more?
Honestly, I had no fucking clue that things were going to turn out that way. Like I said, it was just a side thing for me. I really liked the way that it challenged me. I liked where it led me. So it kind of grew a lot initially because I was extremely humbled. You know, it was just like something so hard that I was like kind of seeing myself through a new perspective, and I really loved that. I think ultimately what changed it was my sense of community. Like I'm a very communal person. And even my yoga studio was themed around community, right? Like that's what I would like really focus on, was just my people. So I think like when I found JG Academy, especially, like it just felt very much like, damn, these are my people right here. Like I want to be around all the time. I want to go train all the time. And even if that's just like, you know, selfishly a social thing, like I just want to go and hang out. Like it still felt like so much a part of my life that, it's kind of slowly taken over. And I think it was like last year that I started really kind of seeing like, damn, like where do I want to put my time and my attention? And like I said, 2020 kind of shook things up for me and helped me kind of like see what direction I wanted to move in, like kind of going forward. And Erica and Javi, I feel like it's fucking crazy, honestly, how I met them and everything. Shout out to Emerson. What's up?
Hey.
No, but honestly, it's been like the best. Like they literally have changed my life and just helped me see that I'm kind of more than just a fucking yoga teacher, you know? And it's like, I think I was so stuck in that identity for a long time.
More than just the weed plug, you know?
You know? But if you need it. No, but won't say his name though. No, but yeah, it's been kind of crazy, and I think it's been conflicting too at times, just to feel so pulled in a different direction than what I'd been building for so long. So I'm really fucking grateful for everything, and now I'm basically like helping to, you know, be the behind the scenes kind of person, helping to run shit, and feels cool.
I think for Chris, like we've been definitely trying to like change or embrace change as much as we can, especially like just recently in anything. Me and Chris kind of have a hard time just like deciding things and moving towards things that aren't already what your current path is. So it is nice to have like inspirations like you guys just consistently like growing and doing different things. I know we kind of like want to go to San Diego, and it's like, or if we're just feeling like anything in our daily lives or personal lives aren't like what kind of what we want, and we're consistently complaining or we're kind of pulled towards something else, like we're definitely more confident in our abilities to like just leap to that, you know? So it is crazy. It embrace the change. Yeah, literally. And like you said, it can be conflicting and it's hard. It's like a relationship or anything like that. It's like, it's not easy, you know? So it is kind of nice after the fact. You feel the benefits of being like, I trusted myself and I did the damn thing.
Yeah. I relate so heavy to you saying like, it's about the community for you with jiu-jitsu. That's how it's been for like every sport I've ever done. Like I grew up skateboarding and I played baseball forever, like so many years. And then running was a huge one too. And I actually ran in college at MJC for like a couple months and I actually hated it. So because nobody would show up to practice there. We had like, there was a team, but nobody would fucking show up. It'd be like me and the coach like doing the workout. And I'm like, fuck this. So that was something I quit. Because like I realized like the community was just so much for me. And similarly, like when I get off work, I'll be so fucking grumpy and just tired and like beat. And when I get to my gym and I see like all my teammates, I'm like, God, it just makes me like happy, you know? It reminds you like why you go there. So that's sick, you know? Mama Liz, I have a question for you.
Here we go.
So you've married into like the foster family, right?
Yes.
And I feel like you've like, from the outside, it seems like you fit in like really well with them, like mentality wise. They're very like balls to the wall and intense with things. Go watch our podcast with Kalani, like this number 35. Yes. Did you like from your perspective, was it seamless? Like it felt like a really good fit for you in that family, or was it like, oh,
honestly,
shit?
I just felt like I could be myself with them. Like my family was very much like conservative, you know, like Filipino conservative type, like you gotta praise the Lord Jesus, you know. So like when I like went with like his family, you know, they always had like, they were just fun, and I felt like I could be like myself around them. And there was actually one time, it was they had like a backyard party, which they were notorious for back in the day, and they played
News to me.
the song Fancy by Iggy Azalea. I don't remember if you guys, you know, when that song came out, it was like, I knew every lyric to that word, like every word to that song. They played it, and I just went ham at the party. And I just remember all his aunties and cousins looking at me, and they're like, damn, like, she fits in perfectly here, you know? Wow. So, yeah, I just feel like I could just be myself with them. And then, so it was, like, very comfortable for me, like, when I started training. I mean, like, my dad pushed me, you know, like, here and there, like, oh, you know, like, but it was a team sport. Yeah. And like when his dad, we've all been there under his dad, and he's fucking calling everyone like, motherfucking pussies acting like fucking little bitches in here. And I'm just like,
follow his Instagram if you want to see that every day.
Yeah. You know, like, you know, it's there. And then I was just like, wow, like no one's ever like really said that to me. So like, it was like new for me. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like, that's cool. Like it brings it out of me. So I didn't even know I had it in me.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, when I started training, I was like, at first, I was like, wow, that's kind of a lot of stuff to do. I was like, people aren't gonna take to that very well.
Yeah.
But I mean, after a while, you just kind of get used to it, and like, I kind of just expect it, like, to hear when, like, I feel like I'm not training hard, and he just calls people out, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be that person he calls out, so I'm just gonna fucking just go hard every time, you know. So, and then also being the daughter-in-law, you know, it's like, I just got to. I gotta be. I wear the Foster last name, like I have to, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's for me.
Damn.
Yeah.
It definitely lights something inside you when you hear him screaming, you know?
It's like Jesus himself. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's just like
anytime you're being
damn.
lazy, like
Yeah.
Kalani is like Jesus.
it's like the ball Jesus that you didn't know.
My favorite is when you're rolling and it's like he's calling someone like, pussy ass bitch, and you're like rolling. You're like, God, he's talking about me. I'm that person.
You hella look like you're.
Fuck,
That's not me, right?
Looking
You're
at
good.
me, God damn it, damn, I gotta go. It's not gonna be me. He says my name, you know, like so.
my god, that's good.
Viv, have you experienced? Have you been there?
Yelled at me, but I've been there when he's yelling, and I said, "Who no like you?"
So you guys have all are in like jiu-jitsu relationships. Your partners or your significant others are into doing jiu-jitsu. One, do you think that's like almost on purpose? Like, would you kind of use that as a criteria? But then also, like, how is that dynamic? Because Chris and I were talking about it before, and just kind of saying like, you guys are kind of home when you're with them. You guys go do your normal dates and your normal time, but then it's also like your hobby. You're also with them. So it's kind of like you're with them all the time. Like, how is that balance? Like, especially when you guys are probably mad at each other, or do you guys get more upset? How is that?
Be honest.
Be honest,
Okay.
They're not watching this far. We're 30 minutes in,
So when I started jiu-jitsu, Javi was already a brown belt. So it was actually pretty cool because I feel like I learned from Javi, not really the school, if that makes sense. So when I first started jiu-jitsu, I feel very fortunate because Javi was really into cross training. He took me to a bunch of different schools. So that was my introduction to jiu-jitsu. Now, he has a lot more experience than me, right? He has a huge head start. So it was very easy for me to just like listen, have that listening aspect and that student teacher. You guys asked if like we get upset at each other. 100%. Like it's like I feel like Javi only gets upset at me, and I only get upset at Javi. Like I don't get upset at my teammates. So I mean, I think that's normal. Pretty natural. I
think it's because we like hold each other to a higher standard.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, like Alika being a brown belt. When I first started rolling, when you first start jiu-jitsu, it's like you're addicted. You want to go like 2 times a day. Like,
Yes,
God, I'm
100%.
watching YouTube and all these moves. I got to do it.
And you're just trying to learn.
Yeah. And then I feel like it was kind of different because Alika came back and he was a blue belt already, like from the military. And he was like very overweight for his size and, had lost a
sorts of
lot of
PTSD.
training. Yeah, I don't know about that, but so he was like struggling a lot in the training room, and then I feel like me, because I was like, no, we gotta go, like let's go, like we kind of like helped each other, like I helped him get back up, and like just he helped me come back up. So it was like every time like there's always a balance. I feel like if he doesn't want to train, then I'm like, well, I want to train. And he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be a fucking bitch. I'm going to go train with you. Or like, oh, I don't want to train. He's like, okay, well, you could stay, but you should really train. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Like, yeah. So I feel like
use each other as like a balance
for
with
sure.
the couple.
I feel like that.
Yeah.
And for you, how you're saying like he was your instructor kind of a lot at first.
Yeah.
How's that like kind of switch? Because like at like 8:30, he's not your instructor anymore. He's like your boyfriend at the time. Like
Yeah.
how is that? Like, because it's
Honestly, it was really easy at first. Like I feel like I said, for a long time, like I mean, jiu-jitsu is like a slow sport, right? You're in it for the long run. It's not like a fast thing. And so I feel like for a long time that was easy for me, because even after practice or after training, even if we were talking about jiu-jitsu, it was still me asking questions and him giving me answers, so it felt the same. Now that like I'm getting close up there and like the belt rankings, I definitely find that I have to every occasionally remind myself, he is like, he has the experience, he is the black belt, because, I'm getting up there and like things are getting more exciting on the mats with us and stuff. So, but I still recognize that, I still recognize that he has been doing this a long, long time, like way longer than me. And so, I feel like I try to keep that. I push it a little bit every once in a while, but I recognize that.
So are you saying kind of like you get frustrated because like sometimes you feel like, okay, like I'm experienced enough, and then he's telling you another move and you're like,
Yeah.
I get it,
Yeah. And honestly, sometimes I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like just because I am a woman, like my body moves so different than his. So I'm like, well, that doesn't necessarily feel the same to me. But I still need to remind myself, like, no, just take it in, like, listen to what he's saying, process it, like, apply it, and, still do it anyways.
Especially since she's kind of a shorter build too, like it's different.
He's a little older.
Yeah.
It was
Can't move
kind
as
of
fast.
Whoa, tell us how you really feel. Dang.
While he's asleep.
he needs to sleep.
For you guys, you got hey, come on, what is this?
My dad texted me. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
On the cozy
He's like, how's the
show.
podcast going? Are they threatening you?
Okay, so for me and Marco, I feel like it's pretty easy. We don't really argue that often. And then when he does piss me off, I usually try to just keep it inside until training time comes. And not that I'm very good, but I go a lot harder and I'll roll harder, and it surprises him. So now he'll purposely try to make me mad before training.
Wow.
He's like, because you train better when you're mad. And so now I'm like, well, shit. Okay. But I don't want to be mad when I go to train. I want to be in a good mood. I want to be happy. I'm going to go see all my friends. And then he'll say something, and I'm like,
Damn.
God.
Maybe you guys should get in like a big blowout before competitions,
Yeah.
That'd be really good.
Maybe you could just say like, I
Maybe I'll
cheated
actually
once. Like, I'm
compete better.
sorry. It was just a
It's
joke.
not a big deal.
No,
She
right
came up
when
to me.
right when she shakes hand, Marco's like, "You got this, Tanya."
Oh shit.
Oh, my God.
I would feel bad for the girl you would be going against.
Literally. For you, Case,
Yeah, let's hear it.
a fresh jiu-jitsu couple.
So it is pretty fresh, but I personally think that it would be really hard to have a relationship with somebody who didn't train jujitsu. And I had thought about that. Like, I had basically, I like being alone. So it was no problem for me. I'm like, I'm just going to keep training and doing my thing. And like, basically nobody's going to take that from me, because it's like I knew jujitsu was becoming like a part of my like everyday life, like a part of who I was. That I guess I look at some relationships where people date someone who doesn't do jujitsu, and I see like, regardless of the situation, there's going to be some kind of tension. Like I've only seen like a couple people who are like super down and supportive. Shout out to Heather, first of all.
Shout out Heather.
Heather.
Yeah, that like
The best.
she is
Whoever she may be.
Yes.
she is so supportive, and like not many people are like that, I feel, that can handle the passion that goes into this sport, because it's not just a hobby. It literally takes over your entire life. Like, especially when you find one that like fits the communal like vibes. It's like it's your family ideally, so
And you're here for like hours, like you'll talk
Exactly.
after, you'll be chilling. It's
so
not
imagine
like a
having
hour
all
and a
these
half.
experiences and then not having a partner to be able to share those experiences with, or to even to have a conversation and have them get it,
Yeah, like you're so kind of enthused about the whole thing, and maybe you just had a good training, or you're trying to explain something, and they're kind of like, oh, cool. Like they can only do so much, it's understandable. Like, like I get it. You're probably not going to understand like what Del Hiva is and stuff like that, but so it is kind of an interesting dynamic, because if that's kind of like a big thing for you, like how are you going to go about that? Like you're kind of going to want to talk about it. You're going to want to be thinking about it. And so it is interesting. Not saying like every couple should, probably be doing jiu-jitsu together, but it's definitely something to think about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how me and Jaime used to be like.
Oh, yeah.
We're basically a couple, but like he would just fucking talk about jujitsu so much before I train. And I was like, I just felt like, I don't know, you know? It's like when your parents like talked about money or something, you just, as a kid, and you're just like, yeah, like, yeah, huh. And you just like nod your head, like, dude, so many fucking car rides like that.
Especially since me and Angel trained, we would be
Yeah.
talking about it for like a big group thing, and it would just be me and Angel for like 40 minutes talking about like, you know, the you know, like that dynamic. So it is kind of interesting for the people who are just like don't know. They're just like, oh, you know, well, I bet that's cool, you know.
People just don't know what they're missing out on, honestly.
Yeah.
You know?
It was definitely one of my standards that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I got a good one. I got
got
a
a
real
good
good
one,
one.
yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, kind of going back to that, I think it was you. You were kind of like, was that like a criteria about like the jujitsu with your spouses? So yeah, it was really funny when I first like joined. I kind of knew Javi a little bit before I started jujitsu because I best friends with his sister, and so I always had a certain perspective of Javier before I started jujitsu. He was this really little guy, and he dressed with like little sweater vests and like little golf hats and stuff. Yes,
The fashion I could,
yes, yes.
because I've only seen him in JG gear, so I mean,
No,
that's probably
I
saying
can-
something.
I can find a picture.
We'll put a
and-
bunch right here. Come
Yeah,
on.
right
give
here.
us some,
It's gonna
please.
be a great picture for you guys to put on here. You're gonna love it. But that was always my perspective of him, right? And I'm not a petite woman, and I played soccer, which is like a really aggressive sport, and I feel like I've always had like aggression and always been big and strong and stuff. So like it's just so interesting how my perspective changed of Javi after joining jiu-jitsu, because I was like, oh shit, maybe he's not, you know, like a little bitch, you know. There's something right there.
Same with like the
I see
scarf
it.
and the
I see it.
cardigan,
Yes.
and, you know.
He would literally come into class with his hat and his little vest and like take it off and then like put his gi on, and I was like, okay, he's
Yeah.
teaching class. And then I would see the class, I'm like, okay, all right, that's cool. I like
And he'll
it.
do good against
Yeah.
everyone, you know.
Yes,
So I guess
yeah.
that boosted him.
Yeah, I always thought like it was actually really cool because we cross trained all the time, right? So it wasn't like he was just rolling with the same people over and over again. He was rolling with the brown belts and black belts from the other schools we were going to also. And I just like, I loved, like, I feel like Javi had a good example of jiu-jitsu, right? Because he's really small. But that just didn't matter, you know, like it didn't matter to him. He was like, there's always a way to make it work with jiu-jitsu. So.
Oh,
Sorry,
you
going
go
back
ahead.
to the criteria, when me and Alika actually started dating, he texted me and was like, hey, I train all the time. So if you're not down with that, then we're not going to work out. And I was like, fuck it. Let's go. Like, I'm down. I would sit and just watch him practice all the time. Like, I would sit there and there'd be a point like, hey, if you're going to, like, you know, chill here, maybe, like, take some pictures or, like, some videos of me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, whatever you want, babe. Like, this is fucking cool. Like, I didn't know what was going on, but I know he was, like, making people tap. So I was like, that's got to be a good thing.
Did
But
you
yeah.
ever? Were you getting bored, or were you excited or interested?
No,
Like, how'd
actually,
you handle that? Just watching?
he would. So like when we were living in New York, he found like a small gym to like train out there, and I would go like all the time. And then he'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go train," and I'm like, "Oh, can I go with you?" Like he's like, "Are you sure? Like you're not gonna be bored?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm watching you, like you know, like
Yeah.
so for me, I would say like yeah, it's got to be kind of like a criteria to like date someone who does like any martial art, you know, like you do spend most of your time with them, like you work like your 8-hour job and then you go maybe see whoever you're with for like 30 minutes before you got to go and start training, and you're with these people for like 3 hours. So you're barely seeing like your significant other, and they're I don't know if they're like, well, you never hang out with me, and like can't you just take a break? Like I glad that I was never like that. Yeah, like I would be like, oh well, I'll just go with you, and then like we could go wherever after, you know. So
Yeah.
I could see like as much as it could kind of hurt a relationship with maybe just like too much exposure to each other. It could definitely help because, I mean, like I see you guys, and a lot of you guys are like your life is the jiu-jitsu, so I know you guys get to spend time with your significant others like a lot more than probably other people. But for the most part, like people are working a lot, you know, like 8-10 hours a day. So if you're already doing a hobby that takes like 3 hours extra or 2 hours extra every day, it's like, what do we really have? And especially after the fact, like you're so tired. Like, you know, do you really want to be like happy and enthused with your SO after, you know, I'm sure like you can, but it's definitely a lot harder, you know?
I do have to say too that as a woman, like I don't know that I would necessarily be attracted to a guy that I could just whoop his ass. Like when I see some guys rolling, I'm just like, it's not attractive to me. You know, like I
Damn.
want to know that I
So
can
if you're watching,
feel
don't get
kinda-
submitted in front of Casey because
Yeah.
that's a ick.
Yeah, where's that? Yeah.
Damn.
I think it's important, you know. It's just like a means of like I can protect myself, but you can't protect me, kind of a thing, you know. Like,
Yes.
don't worry, I'll be your bodyguard. It's fine, you know.
So it's not enough to do jiu-jitsu. You have to be good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, the
I'm trying.
criterias are just building up here. Like, hey, at least purple belt.
Raise the bar.
Did you hear that, Logan? Step your shit up.
Logan right here.
You always think you're enough until you're not. You know, until she's leaving you at 2 a.m.
For a brown belt.
She's like, remember that time you just kept getting submitted and submitted? That's what I knew.
I was gonna ask about Javi. What changed his like style from that like kind of golfer
Me.
to like? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
me.
got on his ass. You're like, hey.
Yes.
We're in public, you know.
I have a reputation to uphold.
I think he wore Crocs.
Oh, he wore Crocs.
tie-
He went
the
with
tie-dye
the
Pretty
Crocs.
bitchin' Crocs.
Those are
dude.
sick, honestly.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've always been like a little country, you know. He didn't like country music before, and I played soccer. I was very tomboy. Like this is basically how I've dressed my whole life, and you know, so I guess getting with me, I don't know. He started liking country stuff more, so that definitely helped. He didn't wear like tight pants anymore, you know. Started loosening that up a little bit, and then the golf hats started disappearing because I was like, you don't play golf, you know? So those started going away. I was like, it's hot outside. You don't need the vest, you know. Let's take that off. See how you feel.
Cup of tea everywhere.
Yeah.
You grab a little tea.
It was a slow
Fedora
progress.
hat.
Yeah, it was a
Oh
slow
my
progress,
God,
but
that's funny.
he's improved quite a bit.
You have to send us those pictures.
I will. Yes. I'll send you some good ones. I have them in my favorites. They're already ready to
Back the
go.
day, she's like, little poses.
Close. It's the shoulder flex.
Oh.
He's got nice shoulders.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's fucking ripped. I just trained him Antica, and
Awesome.
hopefully at 45 or 48, whatever he is, you know. Hopefully I can look that.
Right?
How
Yeah.
do you guys feel about Jaime joining the JG gang? Can we talk about that?
Hey, look, little
Shit.
JG,
Welcome. What is it?
It's a little J right here, you know what I'm saying? And then you got the little G.
See, he's already contributing.
I'm already
something, you
helping.
know?
I'm already an entrepreneur, like, you know.
That's
Okay, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Literally.
Oh,
That's nice.
that's cute.
Oh yeah, because it connects to that little.
It's like the duality of your thumb. But I'm excited to be part of the team, you know. I
how
talked
does
about
that feel for you?
really exciting. Like, I mean, just like the sky's the limit almost, you know. I talked about it a little bit in the last pod for those who like watch, just kind of like a little bit of my reasoning, kind of vaguely. Just like excited to kind of grow with the team, and like Chris said, like big thing is the community, and I feel like you guys have a really good community here and like all across all your gyms. And Jesus Christ, sorry, and just like the opportunity to grow too, you know, and the attentiveness, and I just like all that is really attractive in a sense. So I'm really excited to kind of just join and see how it is, and like keep the viewers updated too, just how like my part in it. My gym's not even open yet, so I mean, I'm just kind of going all over the place until I don't know when, but a couple weeks. Within a couple weeks, we'll be training at JG Modesto. Shout out! You know, they got
Shout
a
out.
little
Uh-huh.
they got a little membership going on. I think first 30 people, 125. So I'm really
On
excited.
Instagram, yo.
Check out the
Yeah.
Instagrams right here. At first, they misspelled their email. It was mdosto@gmail.com. They said email that, and it was hella funny because I sent that to Roger to email, and he emailed mdosto, but I, like the smart person I am, was like, I think that's misspelled. So I just emailed the right person, you know, and then
For the record, I was not in charge of that.
I told Javi too. I was like, I think that's a little misspelled, just in case some idiot like Roger would email the wrong person. But I'm super thrilled to be part of the team, and I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen. You know.
Yeah. Casey, I'm curious. When I met you before I did jujitsu, just through Jaime, because you guys were good friends and stuff. Not anymore, but like. But ever since I've known you, you've been like. I just remember when I met you, I was like, damn, like she has her shit together, you know? Like she has her own like yoga business. She knows what she wants to do, everything. What was life like before that? Like before you had, if you're okay with talking about that, like before you had, your love for yoga and your own studio and like jujitsu? Like, what was going on?
So it's kind of funny because I was just kind of talking about that today. Like, it's a completely different lifetime for me. Like, I literally look back at like the person I was before yoga, and I'm like, God, I would have hated myself. Like, I was a terrible person. And I feel like I made really bad choices. I was a shithead. I only cared about myself. And like, I was telling Erica this morning that like, I had a lot of growing up to do that I'm grateful that I found yoga, because had I found jujitsu first, I feel like it would have just like fed my flames way too much, my ego way too much. Like, I would have been the person everyone fucking hated on the mat. And, like,
I would have crashed
that,
eventually too,
Yeah,
Burned
it's
out,
true.
yeah.
I probably would have loved like just burning a short fuse. But I'm so glad I found yoga, because it just like it balanced me out. I did a lot of like self-reflection. I definitely by no means have all my shit together. So I'm glad I'm faking it pretty good. But
it's those Instagram posts, like, damn, she's never having
Show
a bad
that
day.
good.
Paragraphs like about growth and shit. You're like, oh.
The ones you click hella quick.
I do feel like very grateful and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm glad I got here in the order that I got here. And, like even like with businesses and stuff, it's like, oh, well, like this is just the beginning really, like I feel like I have so much room for growth. And especially now with this crew, kind of like Jaime was saying, just like I see bigger picture of like where we're all going, and that makes me stoked. And yeah, I'm glad I'm here for it. Glad you're here for it too.
Yeah, I know. I remember like, just one time I was over at Casey's house, and we're just like having that conversation of like growth, and how she was like, bro, like 10 years ago I was just like a schmuck, just so mean and bad. I'm like, well, I'm so happy we met each other at this time, and just with a lot of our friends, or like, my friends, and like anyone, you guys, it's like, damn, we have such a long life to live, us at 30 might not be us at 40, and us at 40 might not be us at 50. So
Yeah.
really happy that like we're all meeting each other at a great time, like some way later, and some younger and stuff. I'm just kidding. But
That one
you
over
know,
my head.
it is.
That was actually like kind of what I was talking about, because we all had like a girls trip yesterday,
Yeah.
and I was like telling them that like I've really only had like 2 girlfriends like my whole life, and they were not like, there was like one friend that I needed for the like, she was like my go-to, like I would talk to her about certain things, and this other one, she would like I would talk to her about other things.
Yeah.
But they would never like hang out, like the 3 of us would never hang out together. So then like just being here in this like community, like at JG with all of these girls, I was like telling them yesterday, I was like, guys, like I've never had like girlfriends like this, like I've never done like girls trips or anything like this. So it was like new to me, because I've always just been around like, when you train with guys, you're hanging out with guys. And even like when I did softball, it was like,
So
it's
catty,
just
like,
so
it's
catty, like,
different,
and they
yeah.
all talked about boys and wanting to do this, and I'm like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
So like with them, like it's great that like I have this girl community, and like we've all grown so close, because I've like known Erica since I've actually started jiu-jitsu.
And so just kind of talking about timing, like it is crazy, because Alyssa and I, we've kind of been a part of each other's lives for a while now. I mean, since literally 2017.
Yes.
But Javi and Alika have known each other, I mean, pretty much since Alika started jiu-jitsu, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just the timing, right? So like they've known about each other, they've known each other kind of, but never commingled. And like, I mean, I was her first role at like,
I was like, we was a arena training center. I don't know if you guys remember that one. But like they were like, oh, we're gonna go to this open mat, like it's a grand opening, and I was like barely brand new, and like I was excited because I saw a girl, and Alika was like, oh yeah, there's a girl over there, like you should go with her. And I was like, okay, yeah, I was going to anyway, like she's a girl.
Oh, trust me.
And then I like went up to her, and she was like so nice to me. And I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, like this is my second time ever rolling. She's like, just do what you know. And like it was cool to like have like another girl there that was like so inviting, and not like whatever, like fucking wipeouts.
it's hard,
know?
It's hard to go to a gym that's like only men that you don't like, because when I started, I didn't have Javi, right? So I had to go by myself. So I didn't have Javi, so I was going by myself to a gym that was like only big guys, only white belts that would kill me. So I like if I was ever going to roll with a woman specifically, I never wanted her to have any sort of bad experience. Like I that's what I really like tried for, you know, like especially her, like I could see her being smaller, you know, newer,
I was
like
like 90 pounds when I started.
I was just like, I could only imagine, you know, the dickheads that are look at her and they're like, yeah, let's roll
That's the
together.
submission.
You're going to make me
Yeah.
feel
Try
great.
some.
Yeah. So
Well, I got that a lot in softball too. Actually, I would like walk up to the plate at bat, and they were like, I would just see the girls like, you know, crowd in because they don't think I'm like a power hitter, you know. So like, kind of just been being with the small person like my whole life. So like, when Erica was so nice to me, I was just like, oh,
yeah,
there's
and then,
nice people out there, you know.
yeah, and then it was crazy. There was like a tournament you did where I
Yeah, there
honestly
was
didn't even know her.
I thought it was crazy. It was a San Jose Open actually,
Okay,
and
yeah.
I was rolling already, and you in my corner was my father-in-law Kalani and Alika, and then I just heard like a female voice. It was just so clear as possible, and I was like, who is coaching me? Like I turned around and I was like, oh shit, it's Erica. Like she remembers me, you know. So like she was coaching me, and it was just like so clear, like clear as day. And I was like, God, that made me feel so good. Like just her remembering me, and her, like she was an upper belt. I think you were purple belt at the time.
Yeah,
So
something like that,
I was, and me like barely a blue. Like that was my first blue belt tournament, and she was just out there in my corner, and I was like, damn, that's fucking sick. Like, dang, this girl remembers me. That's fucking dope.
yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
And now we're here.
Alyssa actually intimidated the fuck out of me when I first met her.
Shit.
Yeah.
What's your
Oh, really?
perspective on that?
I think like I was really new to the scene, and I was equally kind of like that hungry white belt that was just like, I want to hang out with everybody, and I want to go to every freaking open mat, and I want to go to every gym, and like, you know, here I am. And I just remember like one time like seeing a picture of like Kalani's gym and like everybody, like a group picture afterwards. And I can't remember who I texted. It might have been like, you know, Marco or Emerson. And I was like, who's that pretty girl that goes to BBB? And then like kind of getting just like, you know, basic names, and then going to a super fight one time, and like I was like putting myself in uncomfortable situations, didn't really know like a whole bunch of people, but I was like, fuck it, like I want to go. So I remember going to the super fights, and Alika was fighting and some other people, and Alyssa was there, and I like just wanted to, you know, get to know people. But I'm also kind of shy when I don't know like people, so it's like usually I'm waiting for someone else to kind of start the conversation. And she kind of didn't start the conversation. So I was just like, okay. And then we went to Octavio's afterwards to go
Yeah,
eat.
that's the spot.
And dude, I remember,
That was the first time.
no, this was a time after
Okay.
one of the super fights. We went there.
I
And
remember though. Yes, I remember.
It was
that.
very early on, like maybe the second time, maybe meeting
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
But we were sitting there, and I remember like the placement of like how people were seated, and it was like Max was sitting on my left hand side with Javi, but they were like turned away from me, and then the rest of the table was like in front of me is like Alyssa, and then there's Logan,
Yeah.
and then like all of like the little Foster family off to the side, and like I didn't know who anybody was. And
Yeah,
so
Casey was sitting there like in the seat, like with her arms and postured back, and just like, I'm just gonna watch like what's going
like,
on.
what
here.
the hell am I gonna say? I don't know any of these people. Ain't nobody saying shit to me. I'm just gonna sit here and eat my chips and salsa. And then once I ordered my food, the only question I get, the only fucking conversation I have to base off of was Logan looking at me and going, "Are you vegan?"
That's what you do. Huh? You know what?
Now he's
Are
dating
you gonna
me,
eat
so
that?
fuck off.
Yeah. Are you gonna? Yeah, are you gonna
Shit.
eat? Like, why aren't you ordering chicken tacos? Like, are you vegan?
No, but I just remember thinking like I wanted to talk to her so bad, but it was just like I didn't know how to initiate the conversation, and like it wasn't just happening. So I was like, fuck. I think Alyssa
Wait,
hates me.
what did we say? Like, why? What did we do to start talking?
I just started like commenting on your stories on Instagram until you decided to follow me back.
Damn. I didn't think she followed me back.
But that's okay.
No,
That's
but
okay.
at Octavio's,
That's okay.
you're telling me that we sat across from each other and we didn't have a conversation. I could have swore we had a
It might have
conversation.
been very brief, like
Yeah.
brief little things. Yeah.
Oh,
Nice to meet you.
I
Hey, but I
also
was like,
was
I
just
wanna
like,
get to
I
know
don't know
her.
who this girl is either, you know? And like,
Yeah.
she's coming out with like my family. I'm like, who is this girl coming with my
And I
family?
think that that's what I
you
felt
know?
too. Like I knew I was like, she's probably just like watching. Like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. I
And
think
I'm
we're
like,
just,
that's
observing
alright.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
be
funny
around.
because I feel like that fucking situation so often still, just being so new to jujitsu, and when I go to different gyms and shit, I'm just like, you know, because I'm shy, like, until I know you, so I'm in that situation.
Just keep
a
showing
lot.
up.
Yeah.
Just follow them on
Break the
Instagram
ice,
and
yeah.
just like show some love.
They might not follow you back, you know.
Yeah, it might take some time.
And then luckily, like, a lot of people are pretty cool, and especially if you're new, they're like, how's training going? Like, all the time, so that's cool. What's funny is I introduced myself to Alyssa, I think a few weeks ago, like, for the first time. And I was like, oh, hi, I'm Chris. And she's like, I know who you are. She was like, you're the one that put the picture of me after saying I eat ass.
Yes,
On the
that was
podcast.
you.
So, yeah, sorry about that.
Saying it again right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just in case you forgot.
In case you
you
forgot,
didn't
that
see
was
that.
me. I ate
Yeah.
Alika's ass. Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I did edit that podcast. And I wasn't, like, I didn't want to put the picture because I was like, I don't know, I don't know her. Like,
You didn't want to put the picture?
no, because I put a picture, like, how we,
We saw.
yeah. And the only reason I did was because Kalani was like, she's a badass chick, dude. Like, she came
Yeah.
from New York and, like, she just started training, this and that. And I was like, fuck, no, I feel like I have to, like, put some context, but
Yeah.
Actually, from Stockton to 09, we just moved
okay.
to New
Oh,
York for the
got it.
military. But yeah.
I see. Were you guys from, like, New York City?
No, we were stationed very upstate New York, like Watertown area.
I have no idea what that
Yeah, if you Google it, fucking New York City's like right here, and Watertown is like damn near Canada.
shit.
So
Wow.
it was like a 6-7 hour drive to just get to the city. So
Oh, damn.
it's kind of far.
Was
So like
there-
like from here to like LA,
SoCal,
kind of.
yeah,
Yeah,
NorCal to
SoCal, yeah.
SoCal.
So it was very upstate.
Was there a lot of jiu-jitsu up there at the time? Or?
No. Not where we
Yeah.
were. Like, it was like such a small town, so like
Yeah.
Alika got lucky and he found that, and it was mainly like the other guys who did like were in the military and were just training, just wanted something to do. I think it was like like a Flavio Bearing Association or something like that. But yes, even then that professor was like, "Hey, you should try this. Women need to learn to defend themselves." And I was like, "I'm cool with watching, dude." Like,
I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Any like kind of advice to give to like girls or anyone, but mostly girls, like kind of interested in joining or like hesitant, like maybe something being like, fucking join.
do it.
Yeah,
You know?
seriously. Yeah, you just have to do it. And then, like, jiu-jitsu's contact, aggression, all that stuff. And I think a lot of times girls feel like they have to get to know each other first to, like, train hard with each other. I feel like that's changing a little bit,
Sorry. So my best friend now, she started training after I was training at the gym, and we hated each other. We would not talk to each other, but we would roll together.
Why did you guys hate each other?
I wasn't like super girly, and I was kind of shy, and like she seemed girly, and she was, she'd come from school, so her hair was done or something, and I was like, okay. And yeah, she kind of thought the same thing about me, and then I don't know what it was. We competed for the first time together, and like after that, like we've been best friends since. And it's funny because you think you're not gonna like each other, or you think it's gonna be something weird, but you're always gonna have that
Exactly.
common ground of jiu-jitsu, and you can just build something off of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, because like even the four of us, like the four of us are very strong, independent, very opinionated, women, right? But like we don't try to challenge each other. We like respect that about each other because we're the same in that aspect, right? Like a lot of times I feel like when people have the same personalities or they're both headstrong, like it clashes, right? But I feel like we understand each other more and we respect that about each other too. I mean, that's how I feel with you guys.
Yeah.
And I feel like girls who come in that are like catty, they just don't last. Like they're gonna be gone. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like we don't deal with that bullshit. Like we just don't vibe with that, And so it's like it's not even a catty thing. It's just like we attract such fucking awesome women here. It blows my mind. Like I'm constantly just grateful to have such like that close knit female community where it's like we come here and like I love rolling with Liz on especially on wrestling days because it's like she really kind of showed me like you can be aggressive, like hit me harder, like take me down harder, like really do that. And it was like shit, like I can be rough with you. Like we can like kill each other on the mats right now. And then afterwards be like, fucking love you, dude. Like, great job. Like you did a good job today. Yeah.
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 I think that's what's kind of nice about the sport too, especially like for girls that are thinking about joining. It's like you could really go hard on this, and you're not gonna feel too bad after like the next day. Like, I mean, I would assume like boxing or something like that. You know, like you're gonna go against like another guy and they're fucking you up. You're like, shit. The next day it's rough, but I mean, like over here you could go with a guy or girl and train like 110%, and still the next day be able to do it again. You know, which is
Right.
really nice for like a girl to have that outlet to be able to like do their full force all the time and still be able to
Exactly.
do it the next day and the next day and the
Exactly.
next day.
Yeah. And then just kind of going back to some advice you guys were asking for, like for women out there training or even just like new people in general, if you do feel like you're struggling to like take that step to talk to somebody or open yourself up, reaching out on social media is like a really good way to do it too. Like for example, if you see a girl, you're like, man, I like, she kind of has RBF. I don't know, you know, reach out on social media. I guarantee you, she will be like, oh my God, what's up? You know, like I have, it's rare that like I meet a girl in jiu-jitsu and I just like do not like them from the start. It's pretty rare.
Um.
To go on that,
Yes.
I did not like Pietra for a long time
Pietra.
because she
Shout out
also
Pietra.
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 Miss Pietra. Shout out to her though, but I love her now. But when I first met her, because we were both like the same belts, we both got promoted like around the same time, and she was training in Los Altos, and it was like a small tournament, like a Rumble in the Redwoods kind of thing. And I just remember her like, she had an RBF, I had an RBF, so it was just like out the gate, like we were just like,
I
don't like you, you know. And like we fought each other, and I just remember like she fucking put her knee on my face. And I was like, who the fuck does she think she can put her knee on my face, dude? Like, that's gotta be so bad, right? Like,
You
but-
just did that
yeah,
against
yeah,
someone.
But now I do it, so it's like whatever, you know. But and then I just remember like we would like never really say anything, but then like come to find out like we like merged the gyms, and then
And
she
she's a
started
Taurus.
coming around to like open mat, and like we found out we actually had a lot of similarities, and like we like
Mhm.
talk to each other now. We're just like, dude, like you're fucking dope, like you're fucking dope, and like
Yeah.
we were just like, we didn't like you at first. Well, I didn't like you at first, so like now we're here, you know. So
just-
shout
yeah,
out
break
to
that ice,
and
ladies.
breaking the ice, yeah.
Break that ice.
So anytime like women walk
Yeah.
through the door, like I'm all over them. Like, girl,
Yeah.
you need this, and I'm gonna tell you why you need this. You know, like. So I just try to be like super inviting. I know like, you know, my face doesn't come off that way, but like once I start talking, like I always talk like with a smile on my face. I try to. So yeah, anytime women come through the door, like I just gravitate towards them because I want them to like, I love doing this, you know. So like, yeah, it's kind of looked as like a manly thing, you know, any contact sport, but like I'm letting you know I fucking do this shit. Like you can too, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's
And
very
cool 'cause you guys are
empowering
You're
too.
all different too. Like you're all
Yeah.
different body types, all different
Mhm.
sizes. So it's like there is no one that has like a crazy huge advantage or anything like that. Like you just got to learn. And I've met other people too who are even like smaller, different, taller, shorter. Like they all figure it out eventually. It's just like technique and like even I mean like not to bash them, but like even like hobby, you know, like someone smaller and stuff like that. It's like you're learning from someone that's like beating anyone up. And Chris's teacher too, like Chiago's smaller and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like Jamie, another girl, like another girl or jiu-jitsu practitioner too, is smaller, and it's like they're figuring it out. Like it's possible for sure. You're never gonna be like, I can't, you know.
Right.
Any like struggles do you guys face that you know probably girls would like face just starting, and like how did you ever overcome that? Like maybe sorry, I don't know, that's kind of a weird question, but like, you know, like I'm assuming for sure like every girl's gonna come in and be like majority everyone's gonna be bigger. Like how are you guys dealing with all this stuff?
I mean, I feel like the biggest response I would get from women when I would talk to them about training jiu-jitsu is they don't like the close vicinity of like other men and like herself, you know? And it's like, well, yeah, that's gross and like that's weird, but I mean, it's like it's not just for fun, you know. We're learning something, and it's like you have to practice it, so it comes with it. But that's honestly the biggest reasoning I hear from women, like with starting jiu-jitsu, is the close vicinity of things. I never had an issue with that. I I've never had an issue with the grind, you know, of that.
Yeah.
You know
The
what I
grind.
mean? The grind.
Bump and grind.
What kind of grind?
Grind. Hey, up to interpretation. Do you guys have to overcome things like that when you guys first started?
I did, yes, because I started when I was 13, and there was just all these grown men, and I was like, don't touch me, ever.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
so, like, I would really only train, like, with my dad or with one of the girls that started a little bit after. And, yeah.
That was your first sport you did too,
Yeah,
right?
it was my first sport I'd ever done. And I actually didn't train no-gi for a very long time because of that. I was like, you're telling me I'm only going to have a pair of leggings on and an athletic shirt? A rash guard? No. I want the extra layers, please.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I could keep them at more of a distance because I'm not very strong. So like no-gi, like you have to stay really tight, and I'm not very good at that. So yeah, it was just a little difficult. But eventually, it's like, well, fuck it, it's gonna happen no matter what. So
Yeah,
just
at least
get
you could
over it.
kind of like mitigate that and take it at your own pace. Like if you're not 100% confident in rolling with everyone, hopefully your gym has people kind of like your size or girls there that you could be like, okay, well, I'm not completely ready to go full balls to the wall, so let me just pick my training partners. And there's tons of people who do that too. Like even still, I know a couple of people who are just like, I don't train with these certain people. I just don't feel comfortable yet, or I never will, you know? And that's fine. Like that's the beauty about jiu-jitsu is like, yeah, we definitely push you to kind of just be everywhere and try to push yourself to, you know, roll with everyone and learn from every unique experience. But at the same time, it's your jiu-jitsu. Like you could literally say no, or you could do anything you want. You could tell them every roll, hey, let's just flow. Hey, let me just drill. And people could take it how they want, but it's at the end of the day, it's your jiu-jitsu. Like you're going home to yourself, you know?
Yeah.
I do think though that like people don't realize when they get into it, like male or female, jujitsu is triggering. You're going to be triggered in so many different ways. Like whatever it is that you're struggling with, it will show up on the mat for you. Like, and I think that a lot of people like end up quitting, whatever it may be, because they're faced with that challenge or that difficulty or that thing, you know? And so like, I mean, I guess this recommendation is more like general than it is just for women, but it's just like, get out of your own head, stop making excuses, and just show up, face that bullshit, and work through it. Like, I feel like it's not for the weak-minded. Like, you're not going to make it in jiu-jitsu if you're not able to overcome your own bullshit. And it's, foreign
okay.
It's okay. There's just no camera on us.
It happens.
Okay. It's okay. Nobody wants to see you anyways.
Ha, that's good.
Let's switch it.
You're
okay.
That's a great.
But yeah, so I don't know. I like to see it because like I am a pretty spiritual person, I think, with yoga and everything. And I think the reason I love jujitsu so much is because it's kind of the same shit. Like you got to look at yourself. And if you don't, like, you aren't going to make it, like plain and simple. You know, you're going to fall off and you're going to be one of those people that's like, jujitsu's too hard, or jujitsu's this, or jujitsu's that. And it's like, is it, or is it just calling you out on your own bullshit?
Yeah.
For sure. I also feel like girls don't want to stop being girly. You know, like, oh, I want to have my hair, I want to have my nails, and I'll have this. And I'm like, bro, like, I'm finding a way to mix all of that at the same time.
Alyssa,
you know? I
is
get
the
my
perfect example of
pedicures,
this.
like, I roll with
The
my eyelashes,
lashes,
like,
yeah.
I try and, like, even though her hair's in a ponytail, it's gonna get messed up, I still try and, like, you know, look like a freaking girl out there.
Yeah.
You know, like, you could still be girly and
Duality,
do
you
like
know
a
what I'm
man's
saying?
sport, you know, like, so
Or you cannot.
because when
Or you cannot.
yeah,
look the same,
when
you
I
know?
actually when I started, like, I had the long fingernails, like full face of
shit.
makeup and everything.
Yeah,
And
I remember that.
His dad
I
would be
remember.
like, baby, you got to take those nails off. Like, you're gonna hurt yourself or hurt somebody else.
Hey,
so
she was the cutest thing on the mat. She was,
so
yes.
I got them shorter. I did not take them off. I got them shorter. And I remember, like, I showed up and I was like, still had the makeup on the mats and everything. And he was like, I'm gonna get you to get this off, like, you know, one way or another. And just, he looked at my nails again. He was like, dude, like, you're gonna get hurt, but whatever, like, fuck it. And I was just like, okay, fine, you're right, like, I'll listen to you. So I took the nails off, but I still had the makeup. I used to go full face makeup, like lipstick, everything. And I just remember, like, I rolled with somebody and I saw my whole face on their gi
Imprinted.
imprinted on their
Holy shit, that's
gi.
me.
And I was like, holy shit, that's a white gi. Like, if that was me, I would fucking hate this bitch.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I should.
And
just
now she
take it
can't
off.
go anywhere without any makeup wipes.
Yeah. So I would literally I would wear work every single day. As I'm driving to jiu-jitsu, I'm like steering wheel and like wiping my face as I'm driving, like in the mirror, like, you know, and then I would just get there and like, you know, just rinse my face with some water. So now I like make it like an effort to just like, you guys can still be girly. Like, get your eyelashes, paint your nails, do whatever you
100%.
want, you know, dye your hair, like just find a way to make your jiu-jitsu like you know? So that's how I try and do it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Casey, would you be comfortable talking about like your boob implants?
About how they popped? Is that what you want to talk about?
Uh-huh.
Let's go.
No,
like,
I
what do you
want
want
to know.
to know? The specs?
Wow.
Or
No, I just
like
want to know how it.
Here's a picture.
420
Here's a
cc's?
picture. No, I just want
Who's
to
the
know
doctor?
how did it pop, or like what was the?
It's under. It's under. Yeah, it's got to go for that natural look, you know. Yeah. What do you want to know?
Like, what was the sensation when it popped? Like, were you scared? Is that dangerous for it to
Sensation.
Yeah.
pop? You know?
Sensation.
Oh,
Yeah.
it popped multiple
Shit.
times.
Yeah, it's happened twice
oh,
now.
shit.
Yeah.
Well, they're recent.
Let's go with the first time because that was the most traumatic, probably.
Okay.
I was
scared.
actually in Arizona training with Marco, of all people. And it wasn't even like a super crazy role. I was just like in combat base, and I think I was like pinching my arm in super tight, and all I remember is just feeling like this like pop, but it wasn't like a pop. It almost just felt like something twinged real quick, but like I felt like an excruciating pain, just almost like in my armpit, like higher up. And then I was like, fuck, like that, like something like doesn't feel good. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, shit, like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, so I finished the roll and everything. And then I like kind of sat off to the side, and like I was like sitting there just kind of being like, fuck, man, am I being a little bitch right now? But like my fucking chest hurts hella bad. And then I went home or to the spot where my Airbnb, went to go take a shower, took my shirt off, and I was like,
God.
oh, fuck. Okay, so I had saline implants, right? So it's like when saline pops, it's like the whole thing just starts to slowly deflate. So it literally is like a water
Yeah. It's
balloon.
quite traumatic just to
I mean,
see,
it is.
you
It's
know?
saline. It's just though, you know.
Marco texted me. I was like, hey, how was training? He was like, I broke Casey's boob. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, it's gone. And I was like, what?
It's gone.
He was staying at the Airbnb with me as well, and like I remember like because he didn't know until like I like walked out of the bathroom before I took a shower. Like I like came out and I was like, Marco. And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, like my boob popped, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, how the fuck else am I gonna say that?
¿Qué pasó?
18 years old at the time, 17. 18.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he was just so sweet. He's like,
Like, doesn't
oh my god, are you okay? Like.
Yeah.
So I literally I had to wear a sock or sometimes multiple socks depending on the socks, you know. I found my favorite socks for stuffing my bra, but I had to stuff it for probably, it took me like 2 months to get my surgery. So
We'd be training. I'd be like, your sock, Casey.
Your
move
socks
it."
falling.
getting
out.
like
Socks loose.
lumpy or falling out of my shirt, you know. It was honestly like it was pretty embarrassing and like really hard to like keep a steady mind through all of that, but got the surgery.
You're like, never again, at least.
Right. And then I got silicone for my second because saline wasn't an option. And then
She did the surgery awake, by the way.
Oh,
guys.
shit.
She was fucking awake for that shit.
that was pretty traumatic. Yeah,
Did they numb you? And
it was a local anesthetic, so I
Yeah.
could literally feel like pulling on me and
Oh
like
my
kind of like
God.
pressure of like shit pulling up into my chest and stuff. Like that part was really traumatic, honestly. Like second time around, I was like, I'm not doing it that way, like any other way. It feels like almost like you're stuck in like a sleep and like you're just like, yeah, like a paralysis. Like you can't do anything, but you know what's happening, you know? Super weird. Yeah, don't recommend.
Yeah.
Actually, just don't get them. If you're gonna practice jujitsu, just don't care about your boobs being hella big. Okay, just get over it. Maybe unless you want them. So do what you want. Do what you want. But the second time around was actually in always a fucking different state. I was in Texas the next time, and we were doing the Dream Art School out there. and I was working hella hard, and it was like the soft opening basically day, and I did one roll, one super simple roll. It wasn't even like I didn't overexert myself, nothing. Same kind of shit. Got home, went to go take a shower, and was like, that looks weird. Like, what's that? But it's like different because it doesn't just deflate all the way. So yeah, and then I had to go through all of that, and yeah. So second time around, let's see.
Would you get now, titanium or something?
Dude, bro, looking into it for sure.
Damn. What's the difference between the silicone and the saline? Is the silicone more like jelly or something?
Yeah. So the way I can describe it is silicone gel. It's like if you cut it, it's not gonna leak out. It's like stays intact. You could like squeeze it and it'll kind of like ripple out, kind of like those little like squishy toys, kind of thing. Yeah, like a stress ball almost in a sense. Yeah. So it's not gonna just completely, but you still do get residue and all that shit in there. So.
And like since you were in Arizona the first time, did you like have to change your plans of the trip or like?
Yeah. I was supposed to go camping, all this stuff. Canceled my trip. Came home early. But it's a process still. It still took like both times like a couple months to get it done, where it's like you can't really train in the meantime, but you kind of can. So going back to like taking time off, like I've had to take like a little bit of time off. I will say I felt really fucking good the first time. I took 2 weeks off, started training for 2 weeks, and then I competed, won gold, and got my blue belt on the podium. And I was like, great. That's wonderful. And then pop it again. So we're good. Yeah, here we are.
Speaking of just Casey getting injured, since we used to like train together, there was like I think like twice that like Casey like fucked her finger up, and it would just be the funniest but like the saddest thing because she'd like crawl in like agonizing pain and just being like fuck, and I'm just watching there
Are you
like
calling me dramatic?
no, because I swear if it was me I'd probably pass out, you know. But it was just so crazy to see just like certain injuries being like, holy shit, that's scary. Like, that couldn't be me, you know? And then it ended up happening to me at Jiu Jitsu battle. So if you're thinking about competing there, don't. I'm just kidding. I was doing the absolute, and
Can we stop for a second? Jiu Jitsu battle.
and I was holding my hands together, and I went like this instead of like my whole hand, and he was pulling for an armbar. And this is absolute, so the guy was huge. He just like all the way this way. It was fucking awful.
Why did you do that?
Why didn't you tap, bro?
That was terrible.
I don't know.
It
I
was
think
an accident.
it was like quick, and I was
hit.
like, I'm not gonna tap. I'm not gonna give up my arm. And it didn't feel
That's how
like
it
it didn't
starts.
feel like pressure, like pain. Like it just felt like I'm just holding my arm, and then all of a sudden, just like boom, you know, like out of nowhere, and I just had to tap, and I was like, well, that's that. And I just like took like a month or two to recover. Luckily, it's all good now. I don't even know which hand it is, but
I broke my finger during training, and I kept training. So why'd you take so much time off?
Damn.
Just put
You're
some tape on there.
dude, I am a cunt, huh?
Throw some dirt in it.
No, put it in
Spit
water.
on it.
Put it in rice.
I remember you were pretty fucked though. Like you couldn't grip shit. Like,
Dude, I couldn't wipe
it
my
was
ass.
bad.
I just I just had to go dirty every time. No, I'm just kidding. I just had to learn how to use my left, and it was like I literally I know I gotta buy some new JG geese because I was looking at my closet right now, and I have the one that I borrowed, and it's just so much whiter than everything else, and I'm like, God, maybe in a few months, you know?
What was crazy about when you dislocated your finger? I don't know which time it was, but me and Jaime went rock climbing that day, and you dislocated your finger, and then you fucking came rock climbing, which if you guys don't know was like all fucking fingers, like.
Oh yes,
Grabbing-
I've been rock climbing with her. Yes, it is quite impressive to watch.
Yeah, it's nice to watch her like super like it's like she's dancing on
Yes,
like it's so
yes.
elegant, like wow, you know, it's like a.
So again, why
ballet.
did you take so much time off, Jaime? Like,
No, I'm fragile, okay? I'm just like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal, okay?
This wasn't about me. This was all about you the entire time.
How'd you guys switch this up? Wait a minute. Any fuck, I blinked. Sorry.
I don't know. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, like anything else you guys want to talk to the like ladies or anything that are listening right now before we kind of close it? Anything? I know we covered a lot, but
It's not a clique. Like I feel like so much like everyone is so welcoming and inclusive. Like get the fuck out of your own head. Like nobody cares. Like we're just as long as you show up consistently, stick around, hang out. Like that's how you become a part of anything. And I feel like for some people who are scared or like don't know if they're going to be accepted, just come. Just put yourself in the position Allow yourself to meet new people. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable. That's really what it comes down to, is just don't be scared. Like, we're all nice here, resting bitch face or not. Like, just say hi, and I promise you, you will be pleasantly surprised by how welcoming and well received you are.
Anything too also for like the the guys watching, like any advice you give them, like do's and don't do's for you guys, just to make you feel more welcome.
We know that you can bicep curl out of the armbar, okay? So try something else. Maybe some technique.
Work on the technique. Work on the technique.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Okay, perfect.
You can learn something from every single roll you do. Like, it does not matter if you are rolling with someone that is 20 pounds lighter than you, like 20 pounds heavier than you, different belt. Like, it does not matter. Like, you can learn something from the roll. Like Alyssa said, we know you can smother. We know you can lay heavy. We know you're heavy and big. We know that. All right. So just do something different. Like, you can always work on something. Always.
Not just side control, huh?
Not just side control. No smothering. No more smothering, men.
We shouldn't hear you grunting.
No more grunting.
Dude,
No
the
more
grunting's
grunting.
the best.
Gosh, it's okay. We know you're trying hard.
Funny because I was actually having this conversation with Alika in the car yesterday, and I was like, do you ever notice, like, guys make noise when they roll and us girls don't? Like,
Yeah.
and I would, like, point it out, like, going back to Javi, you know, he's kind of like,
It's okay.
he
It's
was
okay.
like,
I know.
Erica was like coaching me through a
I
round
know.
with him, and I readjusted like some face pressure, and he was like,
Yeah.
like under me, and like, and every time like I roll with Will, like our blue belt here, he's always making noises. Like, he jumps side to side, and he's like, "Gah, gah," or he's like,
Pow pow.
yeah, and he's like
Because he
breathing,
black
and he goes,
eyes.
like, he makes like when
Yes.
he breathes, and like Alika, when he's in a bad spot, he does like this. Like, like, yeah.
Yeah,
And he
there's
tries to-
Fucking
guys
yeah.
make noise. I don't know why.
Steve when he yeah.
Fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is that guy?
When there's a lot of exertion, there's usually a big grunt at the end of a lot of exertion. So yeah.
Which, I mean, could be more like because we're using our technique and not strength
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
out of
Try
like
it.
bad
Try it
positions,
out.
you know?
Try it out, fellas.
Yeah.
Use the
Yeah.
technique. Take the strength
Yeah.
away. If you're shaking, you're trying too hard.
Yeah.
Trying too hard.
Yeah.
That's a good one, actually.
Everybody knows what that is.
Do that.
Yeah, that actually happened on the mats a couple like weeks ago. Like, there was just these two like bigger white belt guys, and they were just, all we heard was "Growl!" And like everyone like looked around and looked at me, and I was like, that's the sound of muscle.
It's the sound of the bodies clashing.
Yeah, like,
Two
that's
bears.
the sound of muscle strength right there. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And it was like a situational round. Like, there was no need to like "Growl!"
Who's watching?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a drill.
It's warm up.
Well, thank you guys so much for being on. We appreciate it. Like we said in the beginning too, like it always is a pleasure to have more and more girls on the mat. It's always fucking just a great experience and just like adds so much to the gym. So if you are thinking about it, I know you guys can't see us, but if you are
Yeah.
thinking about it, you know, like just try a trial class, I guess, you know. And in general, jiu-jitsu is hard to maintain. Like Casey says, it'll really bring out your inner demons every once in a while. I know Chris has probably faced a lot, especially since he's new, where he's 7 months though. 7 months, he's in there.
Congratulations,
I
Chris.
think it's 7.
I'm like 5 in right now.
Oh shit! Well, almost there. You know,
Yeah.
5 months.
Okay. Never
So
mind.
like, it is hard, even just for like us. Just, you know, you get like 6 months in and you still suck, and it's still worse, and you get 6 years in.
Real quick question. So how does it feel like being, you know, like a newer guy and like a girl like just totally whoops your ass? How do you
Yeah,
feel?
how does that feel?
I feel like
Girls never whooped my ass.
no. I feel like by the time it happened, I was already like maybe like a month in, so I'd kind of gotten over like I kind of gotten over the feeling of like getting just shat on completely by somebody. So I feel like the fact that it was a girl.
How long did it take you to get over it? So there was a time where you had some feelings about that situation? Because you
Maybe
said you
like
had
a
to get
week
over
or
it,
two.
right?
Yeah, I guess. It honestly still, I think with the ego, like every once in a while, I realize like I'm being way too much like egotistical because I'll start getting like really frustrated during a roll, which I'm sure is normal to an extent, but like I get like angry sometimes. I'm like, Chris, you need to fucking dial it back, you know? Like
Yeah.
remember where you are and like you're not supposed to be fucking shitting on everybody at this point, you know.
Did you feel like you took it more personal that it was a girl as opposed to like a guy? Like you felt different?
I don't think so. I think I was a little surprised, which probably sounds fucked up, but I think the first girl I ever went with is Marina from your gym. Yeah, and she fucked me up. I think submitted me like 2 or 3 times in one round, which is probably only like 4 minutes. And
I can imagine
was
with like
damn, you know, like I was shocked, but I don't think I was like upset at myself or anything at
Yeah.
that point.
That's
But
good.
I can imagine with
Yeah.
more manlier men, like definitely than us two. We're definitely a little bit different. So it's like,
For sure.
like
yeah.
I'm sure that ego is fucking brutal. You know, it's
Yeah.
brutal
Yeah,
for the
like
ego. So it's
to
beautiful for
comment-
them
We
to
also
face.
got some badass bitches over here, so it's like I'm sure some egos are checked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, a lot back when my father-in-law would get like new guys through the door. This was like when I was used to be the only girl on the mat, like now Leia and like all of the moms are on the mat now. But he used to just be like, "Hey, you're gonna roll with my daughter-in-law," and I was like 112 pounds, like a blue belt. And I would just be like, yes, come to me. Like, I'm going to give you a piece of this humble pie right now. And he would look at me and be like, hey, only chokes. And the guys would look like,
Yeah.
what the fuck's she going to do? And then I would just like, yep, there's choke. There's another
Yeah.
choke. And like, we would not see them. And that's how he weeds out, you know, the bitches and real men.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely
So-
put your
Yeah.
ego at
Yeah.
the door because it's
For sure.
not gonna go through. And I think like the girls that I really think of that come to mind, especially more in the beginning. Now there's a lot, you know, but it was like Casey, Jamie, and Grace were like the 3 girls that were so cool to like just be with. Casey's fucking guard, of course, was just nuts. I don't. Her recovery. Jamie's guard was super cool. Like her spider. She's the one that taught me like how to, like you would learn so much from these girls because they're doing such different things. So, and Grace is pressure. I don't know if you guys ever rolled Grace, but she's gnarly. Chiago's wife. And you know you could feel her pressure and everything like that. So it's amazing to see. It's nuts.
I haven't rolled with that many women now that I think of it, because my gym is just it's all dudes, and there's one like young girl, and I roll with her too. But so I haven't really gotten smacked by like that many girls, but yeah.
Y'all are
Well, if
staying
you stay for open mat, you can
Stay
get a
for
little
open
taste.
mat.
I'm not staying
Yeah.
today, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I'm always fucking humbled when I'm here though, and Jaime took me here on my first fucking week of jujitsu.
Yes, you
He
have
took
long
me to the
hair.
open mat.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I remember.
And
That's
I
why I
got
was like, yeah, I know who you are.
fucking-
You've been here before.
Yeah. And I got hurt that week. And I remember the first time too. It was my first time here. It was a Friday open mat. And I remember that's what I was still kind of like grossed out by all like the sweat and like just dudes all over you, you know? And I was going with Will, and he fucking a droplet of sweat came off his like forehead, and it went directly into my fucking eye, and my eye was open, and I remember being
That's-
like,
yeah.
"Oh my god!" Like no fucking
So
way.
we're gonna tell this story in like tiers. So that's like the first tier.
Uh-huh.
The second tier is I've had sweat from like the gross guy in class go into my mouth. So that's the
Oh.
next tier. I'm gonna send it right over to Mama Liz for the next.
So I feel like I probably had the worst.
Tell
So
them.
I was rolling with, I'm not gonna say any names.
No
but,
names.
It was a training in Stockton, and if you've trained there during the summertime, like the doors are closed, the heater is still on, no gi, so everyone is extra sweaty and slippery. And I was rolling with this guy, and he was kind of standing, like he was just standing base, and I spun under to dove for like a kiss of the dragon kind of thing. So sweaty. He like stuffed it really fast, and all of the sweat from like
The
his
scrotum
groinal
area.
scrotum area just
Yeah.
dripped, just like a shower
Oh
in
my
my face, on
God.
my mouth, and
In the
like,
mouth.
in the mouth, and everything. And I squealed. Like I've never sweat has never been like a problem for me. Like it lands on, but like just keep going, like why even keep going? But this one it was just like a shower, and I was like, and the guy was like, "What happened? Are you okay?" And I was just like,
That's not
let's-
okay in any
like,
circumstance.
let's just keep going. We'll just keep going. But that,
my god.
so balls sweating.
So those are
mouth,
the
I think I've
tiers of the
topped-
sweat.
Yes.
So expect
sweat
that when you come and
exchange.
join. It might
Expect
happen.
that.
Yes,
Ball
yes,
sweat.
ladies, you
Just
just
get
gotta-
over it.
Just get over
Get
it.
over it. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Get over it.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
But if you want to make the best relationships in your life,
Yeah.
Come to jiu-jitsu. Just get
Yes.
some ball sweat on your face.
You get
first.
some ball sweat in your face.
Get
Then
some
later
ball
on, you
sweat
can
on
get
your
ball
face.
sweat in your
Fuck it.
face. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm sure
great
you've done
conversation starter.
other. We've sure
Yeah.
you've done much worse things.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
then get
we-
balls sweat in
yes.
your mouth. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Chris.
Why do you look so guilty?
What do you mean? I'm just here, just existing. No. Thanks for having us. Every time I've trained here too, the hospitality is great. Cool vibes. I love the music. They got the little strip lights around the ceiling, which is pretty
Yes.
cool.
Club Tracy.
Yeah, come to the club Fridays and Sundays.
Yeah, here's
6 p.m.
Here's a screenshot of all the JG academies. It's in one. Don't worry, you don't have to edit all. It's just in one photo. If you guys are cool, reach one of these girls out. Reach to them. Here's their
Yes.
Instagrams on something.
Yeah.
And even if you're just thinking about it, maybe ask them a couple questions.
Come
and hope-
break some ice with us.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So thank you guys again.
Casey, do you want to plug your yoga studio?
Elevate Community Yoga in Modesto. Jiu-jitsu battle all over the fucking place. Look that bitch up.
All right.
She a bad bitch.
She a bad bitch. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks,
Peace.
guys.
Peace.
Don't be a pussy ass motherfucker, bitch cunt.
Dale.